need I want to point out for you is the need to be able to verbalize what you're going through. And we have different ways we can do that. We all need to verbalize. We can verbalize with our friends. We can verbalize with those around us that love us. We can verbalize through a journal. We can verbalize through a healer, a coach, etc. So it is a human need to be able to verbalize because we hear ourselves speak.
Yeah.
And the shadow part of ourselves feeds off that. So it's dangerous, in fact, keeping it all inside of ourselves, because that will only end up leading to reactions and doing things which aren't really the true you, but they're coming from the pain. And so this is why, one essential need I want you to acknowledge is you need to be able to talk and share and hear yourself. That can be in any form that feels good for you, but that has to be done, because otherwise you are going to feel like you're in prison and you can't get out. The mind will be going on and on and on, and it will just build and build and build until your health, your energy, you're just not going to have energy, any creativity to put into anything. So I would say, the stage you're at is really the first step. And we need to take this really small. So the first step is, if you imagine a child who's been neglected for years and years and years. She doesn't know she's been neglected for years. All she knows is something horrible is happening inside of her. She doesn't know what is the cause. She isn't connecting how she knows she was when she was first born, a baby, where everything felt delightful and joyful. She knows that something's gone wrong, but she doesn't know who to blame, what was the cause, or what's going on. So you're exactly in that place. You've been neglected, you've been undernourished, which means you are in your trauma body. And so when I'm working with a client who's in their trauma body, your first lesson has got to be kindness and self-love. Any trying to fix an external relationship or create your life externally isn't going to happen. It might be temporarily a little tweak, but it will go back to how it was, because you are not fixed. Now, having said that, there's actually nothing wrong with you. You're complete and whole as you are, but the mind has conditioned you to believe you're not. So the mind is driving you 100 miles per hour. So it's like taking that traumatized little child who's been neglected, undernourished, traumatized, and saying, right, there you go, in that Ferrari, off you go, here's the keys, go over to London. Dangerous. It's not going to be able to do that. Actually, the first thing you would do would be, let me introduce you to keys. Just play with the keys. Listen to what they sound like. So it'll be taking it real slowly. So what we need to do is understand that when your mind is trying to fix these things with your mother-in-law or even your husband, that is your mind trying to make you believe that if you change them and what they're doing, you're going to feel better. And you will do temporarily for a short time until they make a mistake or go back to who they are. Just like you, they are conditioned in their patterns. It's a conditioning and a pattern. So the first thing to always remember is when we want to change anybody else outside of ourselves, we're looking in the wrong place. We can't change And it's frustrating, but we cannot change. If we're trying to change our partner, our husband, we want them a different way, our mother-in-law or our friends, the external people around us, we want them to be different. We're always going to be deeming them as wrong and faulty. And that programming only hurts you, because then you're saying human beings are wrong and faulty. I'm not going to like that. The only way you can ever fix a relationship, and I've done years and years and years of relationship counseling as well. And I always say, when two people come together, you can get clear on what your needs are and where you meet and whether you both want the same things. So you know what your starting point is. And you have to know, in this relationship, do we want the same things? Without that clarity, it's not going to ever work. You'll always be in that same pattern. So for a relationship to work, it takes two people to say, I am willing to invest in this. I want a relationship, and this is what I'm looking for. This is what you're looking for. How do we interweave in the middle without making demands on each other? Because the truth is, everybody needs to be free to do what they want to do. When we have an expectation on somebody else to do something to make us happy, we're heading downhill. Nobody's responsibility is to make us happy. Nobody's responsibility is to be kind or give us love. We're not brought up with that awareness, but in actual fact, that can be healthy. Every stage in life is going to be a spiritual test for you. And the only thing that matters is how much love and presence you have to take yourself through the journey. Now, people forget this and think my power lies in trying to change and fix what's happening in life. If I can change and fix what's happening in life, or what's going to happen, then everything's going to be okay. That's not a reality. That's an illusion. The deepest spiritual teaching is a practice of self-love. You cannot ever, and you've heard this before, you'll hear this so many times, but I want you to really feel and sense into your body. You can never have a healthy, true, unconditionally loving relationship without having found your true self, your higher self, and be holding that vibration in a really stable way. Yeah, you might dip in and out, but on the whole, you are stable in, I know who I am, I know what my needs are, I know what makes me flourish and thrive, and I know what pulls me down. I have enough self-love, self-compassion to show up for myself in any way that I need to show up in that moment. So in that moment, if I have sadness, I'm going to show up for myself powerfully. If I have anger, I'm going to show up for myself powerfully. Whatever is happening within my physical body, emotionally, I'm going to be there. I'm going to show up for it. And I'm going to stop the mind jumping all over the place to try and stop me from being with the reality. Truth is what's happening in the physical body. So whenever we feel an emotion, let's say it's an uncomfortable emotion that is grief or something we've suppressed from childhood, or somebody's rejected us and we're not feeling their love, and we want their love, we want this relationship to work. Why aren't they giving me love? What's wrong with me? So the first thing we'll feel in the physical body is the emotion, and it was in the cellular memory. As the emotion comes up, if we're not careful, if we're not present with the body, when that emotion comes up, the mind will take hold of that energy and create a story around it. Now, it's
Mm-hmm.
the story around it that causes us unnecessary pain and suffering, takes us down these little wormholes, going everywhere, trying to fix. But we want to go back. We want to come back to basic spiritual law, which is the mind is going to go off track. The only way to stay on track and in alignment to truth is when the feeling and the sensation comes up in the physical body, don't go up the elevator to the mind. The way you do that is by presence, bringing your presence into the physical body, being with the physical sensations. Each time you go up to the mind, come back down to the basement. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? Just be with the physical sensation. If you stay with the physical sensation, watch it as the observer, feel it, don't move from it. The mind will not eat it up, will not take hold of it and create a story, which means that feeling and emotion will then run its course. It's just energy and motion because you are giving it presence, which is love. And with the power of your consciousness, it's allowed to move through you. It might take an hour, it might take a day, a month, a year, who knows? But that feeling and that sensation, each time you meet it and just be with it, the energy starts to move again. It comes back to flow.